Okay, my kids are starting to wake up, so I need to strategically do this in like 35 minutes. So if this episode is short, I apologize. But it was sitting on my mind. I had to get it out. I was so inspired to record this morning. I was doing the dishes earlier and it was just replaying in my mind. And I had this thought about something that I saw on Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, I need to get this out because it is so important. And I was like, first of all, it would be an amazing episode, and I think it would be so helpful. So I'm doing a dish, I'm doing a dish. I said, you know what, fuck it. I put the dishes down. I said, let me do my face real quick. I'm in my pajamas right now, okay? And I'm sitting down, and I was just like, I had to get it out. So welcome. This is the Latinaly podcast, and I had no intention of recording today, but I was on Instagram the other day and I was looking at other podcasts, and there was one who was answering questions from their audience. And the audience asked a question, and it was like, in essence, it was like, I'm 22. I've been with my man for 4 years. I want to be engaged by next year. How do I do that? And the response that this podcaster gave really kind of behooved me because even though everyone is entitled to their own opinion, I really don't believe that meeting people with the intention of seeking advice opens up the door for you to completely dismiss them. And that's exactly what this person did. They were like, I would never advise anyone to get married at 22. You need to, go find yourself, live alone, da da da. And I was like, that's not what they asked you. That's literally not what this person asked you. And the only thing that you did was completely dismiss what they wanted, and you dismissed their entire question. And if I was that person, I would be like, girl, that's not what I asked you. What kind of answer is that? The fuck? Even though I am someone, funny enough, I love to give advice. I'm just not someone that ever asks for it, ever. I'm trying to think of the last time I asked for advice. I really don't, I don't know. And you know what? I think that's okay, but I love to give advice. And I think because who I am as a woman, a lot of people come to me for advice. And I love that. That is not a complaint in the slightest. I really do love it. And I really do love offering my insight on things. And I think it's really important to go into it because this is really not a matter of giving advice. This is a matter of women who know what they want, who their minds are made up. They know that's it. The decision is done. It's made. I want this. I'm going to get it at this time. Da da da. And it's that confidence in knowing your mind. And then they are met with dismissal. They are met with doubt. They are met with completely opposite views. And it's just like, why do we do that? Especially to women. Even more so, especially to women of color. When a woman knows her own mind, you cannot tell her shit. It is so powerful to be so confident in our decisions. And I always tell my husband, I'm like, the one thing more like I want my children to be happy. There are things that I want for my children. And it's not so much career wise, it's not so much like sure, don't get me wrong, I want my kids to be successful and all that jazz, but more so, more than anything, I want my children to be happy, filled with joy, peace, and I want my children to know their mind. I want my children to know their voice, to understand the power that it holds. And for my children, when they make a decision, it is their decision. My children are not going to ask for permission from anybody to live their life in the way that they see fit that makes them happy. That's my goal for my children. And I really don't like seeing when women are like that and they are completely dismissed because of that. I do not like that. In regards to this particular situation about the engagement, first of all, I met my man at 18. I slid into his comments because DMs and direct messaging was not a thing. We had to go to another app called Kick. I slid into my husband's comments. I said, I want that. That's my man. And I said, I want you. Slide into this is my Kick. We're going to IM each other. And then we went on a date, and that's pretty much it. In a couple years, we're together 15 years. So, in regards to being too young, or like, with this podcast, it's like I would never advise someone to, do anything at 22. First of all, girl, you need to sit down because that's not what she asked you. Just because your timeline doesn't match her timeline doesn't mean that it's wrong. So, for you to project that onto her, very uncool, more so, very unhelpful. Because that's not what she asked you. She asked you, how do you get the ring? So I'm going to answer that question before I dive into anything else. How do you get the ring? You tell him you want the ring. Point blank. Bring it up. You with your man for 4 years. Obviously, he's your man. This is who you want to be with. Listen, I'll tell you what. You sit him down. Babe, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. We've been together for 4 years. I want marriage. I want to be a wife. But more than that, I want you to be my husband. So is that where this is headed? And if so, what does your timeline look like? Discussing your partner's timeline, very important, because this is his journey as well. You don't know, if you haven't had this conversation yet, you don't know. He might be already planning it. Listen, I don't really think that men are the brightest sometimes, but you need to give them some grace and you need to give them some credit, because if they wanted to, they would. So you want that ring, tell him you want that ring. Send him Pinterest board. I sent my man mood boards. I sent my man actual rings. This was one of them. Tell that man and say it with your chest. There's my answer. You want to be engaged by 23? Baby, I love you. I want to be your wife. I want to be engaged by 23. Bam, 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 bam. This is my timeline. What does your timeline look like? Do our timelines align? We've been together for 4 years. If we cannot have open dialogue, open communication, open, serious, very deep conversations like this, very candid conversations, very informal conversations like this, if we can't keep it a buck, why are we doing this? Okay, there's my answer. You want to be a wife, you want that ring, tell that man you want that ring, period. And send him a bunch of different ones to go along with different budgets. Say, this is the minimum, this is the mid, and this is the extreme. That's what I want. You're welcome. And to say that someone is too young to make a decision in their adulthood is insane to me. Now, I believe that if someone is making a life-altering, life trajectory changing decision that can affect them for the rest of their lives, yeah, maybe we should sit with that for a little bit. Maybe we should seek some advice. Maybe let's just hold on to it for a bit, right? But just because you're young, just because you're 22 and you're making a decision doesn't mean that it's a mistake. People often correlate youth with mistakes. That's insane. Don't get me wrong. This is the time to make mistakes. But question, is there ever an age where there is a cutoff to not make mistakes anymore? Because the way that I view life, you can start over again and again and again and again and again. It is never too late to do something. It is never too late to start something. It is never too late to change your life. It is never too late to go back to school, to have a new career, to have a baby, to get married. It is never too late to do those things. So when is the cutoff to stop making mistakes? So we need to stop attaching age to mistakes. And in the same breath, who are you to tell someone, a stranger at that they should not do something? I understand that it's an advice section of your show or of a show, and everyone is entitled to their opinion, but you didn't give any one of those things. You basically just dismissed. I think that when we meet women that know their own mind, it's very intimidating for some people. It's often seen as too much. Every woman in my family speaks, well, hold on, there's a select few there, but the women that I talk to in my family that I have a good relationship with, we speak with such a confidence in our choices. It almost makes people feel uncomfortable because there's no discussion around it. No one, it's funny, no one in my family ever goes, I think I'm going to do this. Because then that kind of opens the door for people to go, oh no, I don't think that you should do that. Or I think that you should do, no. A lot of women in my family go, I'm going to do this. I was thinking about doing this. And so I decided, last week I did it. That's how we speak. To some, that's too much. That's too much. It's almost like jarring when you meet a woman that knows their own mind and knows exactly what they want. You're like, I've never encountered this string of species of woman before. What do I do with her? Nothing. Nothing. Keep up. That's exactly what you do. Keep up. Because 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 I can't. And it's that notion of that we are too confident. Girl, there ain't there's no such thing. There's no such thing as too much confidence. That makes no sense to me. And the thing about it is, and I think this is what makes people uncomfortable, is that people believe that being confident means being right. No. Being confident means being sure that you are right for yourself. Just because I am confident, or I was confident in my wanting children at 26, in wanting to be a young mother in my 20s, does not mean that it is the right choice for everyone. It means it was the right choice for me. People often believe that when we choose a certain path and we are confident in that, we project that, we share that, that is the only path that is correct. No, babe, that just shows that you don't have confidence in your path because it looks different from mine. Clock it, okay? And I'll give you a story about a time when I shared that I wanted something and it was met with dismissal. Actually, it was met with a little more dismissal. It was met with a it was met with two old Puerto Rican women telling me it was a barbecue that my parents were throwing. This is when I lived with my parents. I think I was about 18, 19 years old at the time, and I was telling my two great aunts, my Titi Lucy and my Titi Alice, who I think it's important to say that I believe I will be the first multimillionaire in my family. I will not be the first millionaire in my family because my Titi Alice already did that. Two very successful women, double master's holders. My Titi Lucy has traveled all over the world teaching people about pattern making and how to make clothing. She's traveled to impoverished countries to teach them how to make their own clothes. My Titi Alice is she owned an architecture firm. Like, we're talking about big baller. Okay. So it's after a barbecue, and at the time I was taking classes with my Titi Lucy at FIT. She was the head of the pattern making department at FIT, and I was taking classes with her. Every girl in the family took classes with Titi Lucy. I feel like you didn't go through life if you didn't take classes with Titi Lucy. That is in your path. And so I remember it was at the end of the barbecue and they were leaving. They were on the way out. So this conversation wasn't like in the middle of the party where we had hours to talk about it and dissect it. This was about a 5-minute conversation. And they looked at me and my Titi Lucy went, "So what are you going to do now?" And because I had left FIT, actually fashion told me, like, this ain't for you, bitch. You need to step on. This is not your lane. And I went, period. So I gracefully hopped the fuck out the lane because it wasn't for me. And so I was back at home because FIT is in Manhattan. And I was living in Manhattan. So I came back home to the country. And I was like, I'm going to go into graphic design. And my Titi Lucy looked at me and she went, "I don't think that that's for you. I don't see you doing well." I wasn't surprised at this response, let me just say. So my face was very stone face, poker face. And my Titi Alice in the very next second went, "Who gives a shit, Luce? This is what she wants to do. If she fucks it up, she fucks it up. But if not, she changes her life. Who are we to say that she's not going to do well? You don't know that she's not going to do well." And then she looked at me and she said, "And that's what you want?" And I went, "Yeah, that's what I want to do with my life." And she went, "Good. See, Luce, she made up her mind. Let's go." And they fucking left. They left. I'm a senior designer at Paramount doing graphic design, so I think I made the right decision. And that's how my Titi Alice is, right? My Titi Lucy, funny. It's funny. My Titi Lucy will tell you that you can't do something so you can prove her wrong. And I did prove her wrong, clearly. And then when she saw me again, she went, "So you did it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did it." She went, "Good." And she fucking left. Like, that's the thing about the women in my family. That's why I'm built different. You feel me? Holy shit. So she wants to be proven wrong. My Titi Alice wants you to know your mind and know what you want in this life. Because after you make that decision, my Titi Alice will fight tooth and nail. She will die on that hill with you if that's what you want to do. Period. That is it. Every time. It's funny. I was pregnant with my daughter, and the whole day, I didn't know she was my daughter yet. I just knew I was pregnant. And I was like, my girl, my girl, my girl. So my Titi Alice came up to me and she went, "You have a name?" She said it just like that. She said, "You have a name?" And she like, touching my shoulder. Because the thing is, it's never met with malice. You have to know the lady. She goes, "You have a name?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I told my Titi Alice what I wanted to name my daughter. And she went, "And you like that?" And I went, "Yeah, I really love it. It's also from the Bible." And she looked at me, she went, "Good." And then she fucking left. That is who she is. That is who she is. It's not to a regular person. You might be like, "Yeah, I like it." It's one of the ways that she shows love. It's one of the ways for her to make sure that her girls know their mind. Her girls are confident, even if I don't talk to her. Even if I saw her tomorrow and I told her that I'm going to do this, and she'd be like, "And that's what you want?" Like, even if I told her I wanted to start an architecture firm, she'd be like, "And that's what you want?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, that's what I want." And the thing is, when you match her energy with the divinity, "Yeah, that's what I want," she good. And then she'll leave you the and then she'll leave you the fuck alone. My Titi Alice is literally my spirit animal. 100%. My Titi Alice is like Cher, just Puerto Rican with a foul mouth. My dream girl. Truthfully, I think all my cousins we get it from. My Titi Alice is the woman that when she enters the room, it's almost like time stops. You can feel her energy the moment she walks into that room. She commands a room. 100%. My Titi Alice could walk into any room. My Titi Alice could walk into any building, any situation. She could walk and sit at any seat, at any table that she wants to and command that motherfucker. That's how I'm trying to be in my life. Any pinnacle that I have in my life, I'm like, I want to be that bitch. That's what I want. And a lot of people go to her. A lot of people go to her and they share what they want for their life. They share what they want to do. Like, I said to her that I wanted to get my lips done. She went, "Get your tits done." Like, she's that's just who she is. But on a more on a more serious level, you tell her, this is something that you want, and the way that she gives advice is in understanding who you are. Whenever I give advice to someone, like, I never project my own things on anybody because it's not about me. And so sometimes when you're talking to someone and you are telling them what you want to do in your life, if they are triggered by your confidence in knowing exactly who you are, oftentimes that will be met with their own projections. They will project their own insecurities and fear and use their advice to mask that. And it is not helpful in the slightest. And when people believe they are giving guidance, no. All you're doing is projecting and you're dismissing. That is not guidance. That is you using this as a therapy session to release whatever you have going on because it has nothing to do with my situation. And it's very, very easy to recognize that. And I think you have to recognize that when you are someone that's very confident, because then you start to be very selective in who you are opening up to and who you are confiding into. Because when you are speaking to someone, you immediately need to know, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you about this shit no more, because it will go from you saying, "Oh, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, this, that, and the third." And then they'll stop talking about you and they'll go, "I." Instead of saying, "Well, you're someone that normally likes to do da da da, and I know that you feel like this, and I'm sure, I can only imagine that it would feel like this, da 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 da. So, maybe because of your personality, you could take da 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 da. They would go, yeah, well, I don't really think like if that was me, I would ba, 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 ba. And it's like, bitch, it's not about you. And so the way you recognize it, conversation stops being about you. And that's when it's like, okay, yeah, no, I can't talk to you anymore. It's them giving advice to you based on their fear rather than giving you advice based on your potential, which oddly enough, you already see in yourself. And sometimes, even though we are very confident, even though we are very sure of ourselves, I won't ever lie to you and say that it's not a good feeling to be validated by someone who really sees you. Really sees you. They don't have to understand you. Your timelines don't have to align. All they have to do is see you. Because what is it being in the same, like to be around people that do the same thing as you, think the same thing as you, have the same life as you? That's not the way the world works. But to be with someone and to, like my girlfriend, who will call me because she knows out of me, no judgment, no projection, absolutely no dismissal. And when she comes to, she said to me the other day on the phone, she goes, I can't go to certain friends because their advice really isn't helpful. And it's because of their own trauma that they will tell me to do something that I really don't agree with and I don't want to do. And I'm like, well, that's why you come to me, bitch. That doesn't mean she don't love them. That just means that she understands that I am the I'm the friend that's actually going to see you and hear you and really try to understand you because I know what you want. And that's the key. If we're going to flip it and be the person who's going to give the advice, understanding what that person wants. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Sagittarius. I am the friend that if you're acting fucking crazy, I'm going to tell you, and I've told my friend, you're acting fucking crazy. If you are doing something or making a decision that is harmful to you, your peace, other people, and their peace, I'm going to tell you. 100% I'm going to tell you. No matter if you're going to get mad at me or not, you can get mad at me and we could talk about it tomorrow, but I'm always going to tell you about yourself if the situation calls for it. But if you're just talking to me about something about what you want to do, da da da, and it's not on such a detrimental level as causing harm to you and other people or your peace or your sanity or XYZ, no judgment, no projection, nothing like that from me. We're going to have an open dialogue about it. I am someone that is going to really work through these feelings with you. Why do you feel this way? Well, what's causing you to feel this way? You were so confident before and now we're talking about it. What is changing for you? Is something transforming here? And now we're leading into another decision that we feel a little more confident about. That's the friend I'm going to be for you always. Because the one thing about me, and this is also what I want for my children, is for them to know their own mind, for them to be confident, for them to stand 10 toes down on whatever decision they make in their life, to amplify their happiness, to amplify their joy, to pour more into themselves and into their life. That's what I want for my children. And that's what I'm going to speak into my children. That's what I speak into my friends. That's what I speak into my family. Any family member that comes up to me and they go, I'm going through this and da 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 da, and I don't know what to do and yada yada. What do you think? Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to speak life into you. I'm going to speak life into you based on your personality, not mine. I'm going to speak life into you based on the timeline that I know that you want, not mine. I'm going to give you advice or steer you in the direction of things that I know you want because you've said them to me before, not based on what I want. That is who you have to be, because at the same time, being a woman that knows her own mind, being a woman that is so confident in herself, makes it very, very easy to give advice with removing myself as the subject. Because a lot of people go, oh, I'm giving advice, I'm going to insert myself into the... No, you're not the subject. They are. And so it's very easy to push myself off to the side, focus on this person, but I'm not going based off of my personality, my traumas, my experiences, my own relationships, right? I'm not going to do that. The only time I do that, actually, it's funny, the only time I do that with my friend is saying like, you know, like she'll tell me about a situation that she's, talking to somebody, and I'm like, girl, I'm with my husband almost 15 years, ain't shit change. Right? It's just, and it's almost like this confirmation and validity that she needs in that moment. Right? At the end of the day, the way that I give advice is based off what that person needs. It's not that hard. But when you have a lot going on in your own brain, it's very difficult to do that. And I get it. But ultimately, from my friends and my family, is to make sure at the end of our conversation, you are standing 10 toes down on your decision. Both feet on the floor, balls of your feet, fucking digging into the dirt. That's what we want. Because I'm going to make sure that by the end of the conversation, you know your mind. Mistakes in life are inevitable. They're going to happen. That doesn't mean you were wrong. It just means that you made a mistake. And the key is to learn from them, owning your mistakes. Honestly, people that know their own mind, people that know what they want, because of who we are, we've really sat with it. We've really reflected on it. We've journaled about it. We've prayed on it. It's not really a mistake. It rarely ever is a mistake. There's a reason you're so sure about yourself about something. There's a reason why you want it so badly. There is a reason why there is no fucking outside projection, interjection, roadblock that will deter you from what you want. There's a reason you feel it in your bone marrow, because it's meant for you. What's meant for you is never a mistake. That's not to say that mistakes won't happen. It's life. Everyone makes a mistake, and there's no cutoff point for making mistakes. Life is about making mistakes and owning those and saying, you know what, how am I going to learn from it? Because that builds character. It builds your structure up as a person internally. And it gives you this resilience, and it further builds up your confidence in knowing, okay, I went through that shit. That was a mistake. I'm now going to go through life understanding that mistake and learning from that mistake and moving differently, moving intentionally. So the next time that I come across something like this, the next time I make a decision in this caliber, I'm going to know even more, because insight is so powerful. To have insight, to take your past, whether they are wins, whether they are mistakes, and to take those lessons that we've learned from those events and apply them to what we do in the present and the future is insight. And it is using it responsibly. And then pour that into people who are seeking that from you. That is a gift in my eyes, to be able to do that for somebody. And I do that for people all the time. And I love doing it. Like, it's so funny. Like, people always tell me, like, oh my God, people come to you for like everything. People want to talk to you about everything. Like, how does that not weigh on you? And I'm like, because it had nothing to do with me. I removed myself. I'm not in the picture because the conversation is not about me. This has nothing, it cannot weigh on me if it does not involve me. So people could come to me about their issues or about their worries, about their fears, about their struggle. Even if you're crashing the fuck out, you can come to me. That shit, when we hang up the phone or when you leave or when the conversation's over, baby girl, that shit rolled right the fuck off into a little basket that I have of people's things. And then when you come back around and I got to take it back out, I take it back out and I deal with it with you. But that's why, and it's funny, like I'll talk to my dad and like my own father, and he'll be like, I don't want to put that on you. And I'm like, you're not putting it on me. You're putting it to the left of me. Like, it's okay. It doesn't have, like, I don't absorb people's issues. I don't absorb them to make them my own. My brother does that. My brother's a very big, I think he feels things on a much deeper level than other people. So I think he's an absorber. And so when people around him are suffering or whatever, it really weighs on him very heavily. I don't do that. I have enough going on. I think the only people whose anything I absorb that will weigh on me is my husband and my children. Everybody else, you could come to me whatever you want. I'll put it to the left of me, because the only room that I have on these shoulders for anything to weigh are my issues, the issues that my children have, and my husband. Other than that, girl, you fine. you could come to me whenever you need. I am here for you. And no matter the outcome of whatever it is that we are so sure about, so 10 toes down about, no matter what the outcome is of that situation, it's all going to be fine. All of it is going to be fine. It's your life, and each day that passes is a new lesson to be learned, is a new emotion to sit with, is a new way of you learning about yourself and how to cope with things and how to work around things and how to navigate things. Everything is a lesson. So no matter the outcome, your life is still wonderful, and it is still meant to be lived. And it is still meant to make more decisions, to have more wins, to make more mistakes, and to just be human. And I will be the first person to tell you, my life is wonderful. It took a lot of years of hard work to build it up to get there. And just because things are really great, it's okay to want more out of life. It's okay to catapult your vision and your fucking dreams into another fucking dimension if you want to. It's okay to want those things, and it's okay to be so fucking sure that you want those things. And if in the end it's not for you, you just move on to the next thing. Don't let it weigh on you. Don't let it sway you. Don't let it completely alter who you are. Just ride your wave and continue on to your life, because that situation is just a lesson. When we're navigating these things and when we're making these big decisions, or when we're sitting with something in which we're like, no, like this is it, this is what I want. I know myself, like I've gone through a lot, like I wasn't so sure of myself back then. I am now. This is what I want for my life. This is my timeline. I'm not altering it for anybody else. Stop asking people for permission to be exactly who you are. Stop. Because that power that we have reclaimed for ourselves, that light that we found, that strength that we exude, and that grace that we allot ourselves and other people is always going to be too much for some. And so when we start asking for permission, all you're going to be met with is projection, fear, and dismissal, because it doesn't align with who they are. And it oftentimes is not. And so trust in your becoming, even if, and it's not going to align with timelines and lives of other people, even the people that are probably closest to you. And that's okay. Just because someone wouldn't choose your path doesn't mean that it's wrong for you to want it. And so if that is something that you want, if there is anything in this world that you want, if there's anything that your mind is so fixated on that you are not moving from that choice, stand on it, 10 toes down, and let no one sway you. Because a woman who knows her own mind is one of the most feared people on the planet. So I have decided to start a new segment of the show that I will do every month. And it is an advice column called Signed Kaya. And if you head over to our Instagram, in our highlights, we have a link in which you can ask anonymous questions through NGL. I think it's Not Gonna Lie. Submit your questions anonymously. Every month, I will add it to an episode, or depending on how many questions we do get for that month, it will be an entire episode of just giving advice and answering your questions, or helping you navigate through this very, very messy life that we all have to live. And that is it for today's episode. If you feel seen or called out, it's good. It's growth. and we can do it together. So make sure to subscribe and leave a review for the Latinaly podcast. It would really mean so much to me. And also, if you do leave a comment, let me know how you feel about this episode, and be sure to share this with the other women in your life so that they can remain untamed, uncensored, and unapologetic. I am Kaya Burgos. This is the Latinaly podcast, and I will see you next week.